The evening sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the living room of Julia and Mark's home. The once warm and inviting space now felt colder, its coziness undermined by the silent tension that lingered between them. Julia, her expression distant, flipped through a magazine with a feigned interest, while Mark, his face drawn and pale, brooded over his untouched dinner. For months, Julia had been growing increasingly distant, her excuses more frequent and her conversations with Mark more strained. But tonight, Mark's patience had worn thin. The evidence he had uncovered was undeniable, and it was tearing him apart. "Julia, can we talk?" Julia looked up from her magazine. "Sure. What's on your mind?" Mark took a deep breath, gathering the fragments of his shattered trust. "I know about you and Jack." The name hit Julia like a punch to the gut. She tried to maintain her composure, but the truth was out. Mark cut her off, his voice cold and resolute. "Don't. I know everything. The late-night texts, the secret meetings. I saw the receipts, Julia. I saw you both." Julia's face flushed with guilt, her defenses crumbling. "Mark, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake." "A mistake?" Mark's voice was edged with bitterness. "You've been seeing him behind my back. You betrayed me with my best friend. How is that just a mistake?" Julia's eyes welled with tears. "I know I've hurt you. I can't change what's happened, but we can work through this." "Work through what, Julia? You're having a long-term affair with my best friend. Why are you still with me? Why haven't you left me to be with him? This doesn't make any sense." Mark's jaw tightened. "I don't want to work through this, Julia. I want to understand why this happened." The following days were a blur of angry confrontations and hurtful accusations. Mark found himself navigating a minefield of emotions as he tried to make sense of the betrayal. In the quiet moments of solitude, his anger transformed into a cold, calculating resolve. He wanted justice, but not just any justice. He wanted revenge, and he intended to make it memorable. Mark meticulously began to gather information, creating a mental map of how to expose Julia and Jack. He knew that to truly make an impact, he needed to exploit their weaknesses and reveal their deceit to those they held dear. One evening, while Julia was out with Jack, Mark took the opportunity to go through their shared belongings. He found a stash of intimate letters and incriminating photos hidden in Julia's drawer, each one a testament to her betrayal. He also discovered an old diary of Jack's, revealing their plan to manipulate Mark and ensure he never suspected a thing. Mark felt a surge of satisfaction, mixed with a gnawing sadness. He had once considered Jack his closest friend, someone he could trust implicitly. The betrayal cut deeper because of that. The following week, Mark organized a gathering under the pretense of a casual dinner with friends and family. The guest list included Julia, Jack, and several mutual acquaintances. Mark was determined to use this opportunity to lay the groundwork for his revenge. As the evening unfolded, Mark engaged in friendly conversation with everyone, carefully planting seeds of doubt and subtle hints about Julia and Jack's unorthodox friendship. He watched as Julia and Jack exchanged uneasy glances, their discomfort palpable. At a pivotal moment, Mark excused himself and returned with a set of photographs and documents he had collected. He spread them out on the coffee table, each piece carefully selected to highlight the depth of Julia and Jack's deceit. Julia's eyes widened in horror as she recognized the documents. "Mark, please. You don't need to do this." Mark's voice was steady, his resolve unwavering. "I think everyone needs to see the truth." The room fell into stunned silence as Mark detailed the affair and the manipulative schemes Jack had devised. Friends and family, shocked by the revelations, exchanged glances and whispered among themselves. The once tight-knit group began to fragment, their trust in Julia and Jack eroding. Jack, who had been trying to maintain his composure, finally snapped. "You're out of line, Mark. This isn't fair." Mark's eyes bore into him. "Fair? You want to talk about fair after everything you've done? You've turned my life into a farce. It's time for you both to face the consequences." The night ended in chaos. Julia and Jack's attempts to salvage their reputations were in vain as the damage was done. Mark's calculated revelations had not only exposed their betrayal, but also ensured their social downfall. Friends and family began to distance themselves, leaving Julia and Jack isolated and discredited. Mark's heart was heavy with the weight of his actions. He had achieved what he set out to do, but the victory felt hollow. As he surveyed the wreckage of his former life, he knew that moving forward would require more than just revenge. It would require healing, rebuilding, and a newfound strength to overcome the scars of betrayal. Days later, Kim, Mark's younger sister, met him in their favorite park for a walk. "Mark, I have something to tell you," she began. "After you told me about Julia and Jack, and how she continued seeing him even after you confronted her, I took it upon myself to have an investigator do a deep background check on both of them." She handed him a thick envelope. "They've been slowly stealing everything you have. Our parents insisted you get a prenup, so a divorce before they had what they wanted wasn't in the plan. Between the two of them, they've managed to put the majority of your assets, both business and personal, under their control. You trusted them completely, and they took full advantage of that. The investigator is still uncovering things. I told him to hire a hacker to retrieve as much of your assets as they could without alerting them. Everything is being documented, so they won't be able to walk away unscathed. I know you're wondering why I didn't tell you what I was doing, but you have to understand. From the beginning, the whole family told you not to marry Julia. You were so in love you turned against us. The prenup was all our parents could do, and you still don't talk to them because they forced you to try to protect what you had worked so hard to attain. I thought you would just blow up at me and not see that I'm looking out for you." Mark didn't know what to say or how to feel. "I am so grateful to have a little sister like you. Thank you. You are so much wiser than me. I needed help, but I didn't realize I needed it. I've been feeling sorry for myself, wondering why my wife didn't love me. But I have the greatest love from you, Mom and Dad. Even when I pushed you guys away, you still fought for me. So, what do I do now?" Mark asked, feeling a mix of relief and uncertainty. Kim smiled. "I have some ideas. First, let's go visit Mom and Dad. Together, we'll find a way to protect you from their greedy schemes." If you enjoyed this story and want to see how Mark fights back against betrayal, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more gripping tales of love, deceit, and redemption. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update.